Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Hi/X/. I was wondering if any of you have been security guards. I myself do the odd job occasionally, and have some spooky stories to tell. If anyone would like to share their own, that would be great. Get a security contract to assist rangers in a deep forest. Shift is 18 o'clock, 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. Pay is shit, but no interaction with normies, so it doesn't bother me. Get to drive a company car and essentially get the whole forest to myself. Camping was forbidden in this forest. Job said to just report if you see any suspicious persons on site. Cameras are positioned at some parts of the forest, but would not be able to see any trespassers until notified by surveillance. Don't question it and drive in circles for a few hours. No phone reception, so can't shitpost on 4chan. Was pissing down by 8 p.m., so visibility was essentially down to about 5 meters. Middle of summer, so it was heavy jungle-type rain that caused a lot of mist. About 2 a.m., mist rolling in and I can't see anything. For some reason, I don't seem to care about it and keep driving. Start to see shiny eyes dotted on the sides of the road. I would catch the headlight of my car, but looked really low to the ground. Pull over because I want to see what it is. Starts to move in the middle of the road. Holy shit.jpg. Start to realize I'm an idiot, and my car is a lot further away than I realized. Does not move from the middle of the road. Run back to my car and lock the doors. Still there. Happening.jpg. Put on high beam lights and slowly roll forward towards the eyes. Looks like a small goblin-sized creature. Realize it's actually a huge owl with its head crooked and turned towards me. Nope.jpg. Drive around it and haul ass. See more pairs of eyes on the road as I drive past. Crying in my car. Get to the entrance of the forest and calm myself down. The rest of the shift was okay. Okay, I got another. Keeping an eye on office building. Late night shift again. 22 o'clock, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. on a Saturday. No friends, so don't care. And again, avoid normies at normal hours. Watching the cameras to see if there's any /X/worthy ghosts floating around. Nothing as usual. There are some staff still on site in the late evening. Around midnight, the last one will leave the office. Observe a woman in one of the hallway cameras. Acts like she is being followed, just like Elisa Lam did in the elevator. Same mannerism and everything. Get spooked seeing this and decide to investigate in person, because inner sense of responsibility tells me to do it. I think it's a beta cope. Before I leave, I observe a good 30 seconds of this woman running around like she's a secret spy agent or some shit. Peering over corners and running fast as hell for no reason. Reconsider going in, but say screw it and go to the location. Spot her and ask her how the night is going, trying to gauge her response. Says all is good and walks off normally, but was unnatural in the response she gave, like she was panicked. Thinking I messed up somehow, but realized maybe she was just bored or I'm spurging out. I guess she was role-playing or something, but it was a little weird. There was no one messing with her. Maybe she knew I would observe that, but it was kind of weird for me.
Military, stationed in Montana. Don't want to go into more detail than that. We basically sit around all day at what is essentially a forward operating base and respond to cameras in remote fenced-in areas if they pick up movement. It is December, and it is Montana, so it is cold and totally snowed in where we are. Camera out at a site is tripped. Usually these turn out to be rabbits or nothing at all. A camera is tripped. It is about 35 minutes driving time. Me and a guy we'll call Bob respond. Sun is down, and there are no lights out there. The wind is hardly blowing, but it is cold. It is common for these locations that we go to be on or near civiland, usually farms. As we pull up, I can see cows about 100 yards from the fence. Yeah, that was probably what tripped it. Get out anyway. Procedure it, so walk the fence just to be safe. Bob stays in the Humvee, hearing moos in the distance. Make the call that cows tripped the camera. Copy that. Come on home. Hear a sheep in the distance. I don't know much about farms, but I've never seen any of these places keep cows and sheep together. Baaah, baaah, baaah. All of the noises sounded exactly the same, like no change in pitch or anything, and it was one sheep. I keep walking back, but look around, don't see anything. We drive about 10 minutes before we get the call to go back. Camera is tripped again. Cows are nowhere in sight. This time, Bob walks the fence. Can see Bob's flashlight walking the fence. Start hearing the sheep again. The same pitch sounds creepy. Don't see a sheep. We radio that there is a sheep doing it, but we can't see it. Copy that. Stand by. We later find out that that farmer had no sheep. They believe a cattle gate was left open, but when we pulled up, it was closed. Place was on Little Shell territory. I believe in all sorts of crazy shit, man. Part of me thinks that was a skinwalker.
I have one to share. It's not spooky as much as unsettling. Be me 22-year-old security guard on their last shift. Been working this job since I left the Air Force. Finally getting around to going to college so I can get a new job in the campus library. I basically work as a gate guard for some snobby rich neighborhood. The place is honestly the worst. People scam literally everyone they can. 75% of my job is turning away pizza guys who are given bad checks or letting cops in to serve court orders. Last part of my shift, my replacement was supposed to be here at midnight, but it's now 12:30. Fuck you, Kyle. Gray Nissan pulls up to my gate. God damn it, I just want to leave. Instantly feel like something is off. Woman is sweating profusely and extremely jumpy. Keeps ducking low or glaring when the occasional cars pass us. Just residents coming home. Ask her if she's okay. She says she's being followed by someone who attacked her. Immediately tense up and go into high alert. Ask her if they're close. Start looking for anyone or any cars loitering around. She claims the car that just passed us was the culprit. Before I can say anything, says he's coming back. It's a totally different car. She says another car is following her. Start to realize she was onto something. Maybe you should call the police, ma'am. They're all in on it. This was before I knew what gang stalking was. This carries on for a while as she keeps indicating car after car as a pursuer. She claims when they stop at a stop sign that's them passing off their stalking duties to the next car. Finally, her boyfriend shows up. Dude walks out of the bushes on the neighborhood side. Scares the shit out of me. He starts trying to calm her down. Gives me this slow, I already know nod before I say anything. Eventually, he's able to get into her car and they drive away. Other guard shows up as my asshole begins to relax. Tell him about it and go home. Next day, I get to work to find my boss and a sheriff waiting. They asked me about last night. I answer everything and show them the report I made of the thing. I found out that the boyfriend was stabbed multiple times and was currently in the ICU. She was still on the loose. I finish giving my statements, turn in my uniform, shake my boss's hand and go home. Officially no longer my problem. I still think about it occasionally. No idea if that guy died or if they caught that girl, or even if she was on or off something. Like I said, nothing spooky like skinwalkers or anything, but unsettling. I truly believe if I let her out of the car, she would have attacked me. So I guess I'm just lucky.
Did you lose your job?
No, that was my last shift. I was already coming in to hand in my uniforms and a few other company items the next day. My boss did text me, however, telling me to get my ass there ASAP since the sheriff wanted to speak to me. I don't think I would have lost my job. I didn't do anything wrong, and my report matched the CCTV recordings.
Be working security on a several-acre estate bordering a large bayou. Nighttime, my relief is late, so I'm carrying on as normal until he arrives. Be making rounds. 2 buildings on the property are like 400 yards apart. One is down a gravel road surrounded by trees with the bayou twisting around it, sort of like a peninsula. Be walking down a pitch-black path, regretting not being licensed to carry on duty yet. See movement on opposite bank of bayou out of the corner of my eye, aim flashlight at it. It's like a swirling shadow, circular in shape and floating above the ground at chest height. It's stationary now. Stare for about 5 seconds trying to figure out what exactly I'm looking at. The shadow basically implodes on itself like a black hole closing. Nope. .png. jog the rest of the route back to the guardhouse. Thankfully, this was the end of my round on the way back down the road, and my relief got there right after.
I have one. This was back when I was working security for the biggest psychiatric ward in my area. We were completely filled regularly and often had to transfer patients to other facilities much farther away. So we developed holding rooms of a sort. These rooms were small, with only a bed, a chair, and a TV behind glass. Our staff would determine a likely cause of a patient's mental illness and then get in contact with a facility to transfer them to. We had all kinds of interesting people coming in and out, and some of the things they'd do would give you the chills, even if you knew they were just crazy. Anyway, here's one of mine. Working security at the facility, I receive a call for assistance in one of the holding rooms. Upon arrival, the staff there informed me that they're going to talk to a new arrival, a young Asian girl, and they're kinda worried. She's acting strange, so they want me present just in case. I check the camera before going into the room. The girl is in a patient gown, normal, and has long hair. Her hair covers part of her face, so I can't see her eyes, but she seems to be staring at the chair in the corner of the room. The nurse and I enter, and I stand by while the nurse begins talking to the young girl. She's completely unresponsive, just stares into the corner of the room. I attempt to speak to her. The security uniform would sometimes convince patients to speak, but she ignores me as well. The nurse approaches the girl and shakes her arm. No response. The nurse decides it's no use, and we begin to leave the room. Then the girl starts screaming. She's covering her eyes as she lets out these terrible shrieks. The nurse attempts to soothe her until she suddenly stops screaming and points to the chair in the corner of the room. She looks dead at me and whispers frantically that there's a demon watching us from the corner. I know she's just having an episode, but her eyes are locked with mine, and I get goosebumps. Then she suddenly calms down and goes quiet again, staring into the corner. The nurse and I then leave the room, and the staff finds another facility to send her to. At this point, the nurse is checking her medical charts. That's weird. Turns out she'd already been cleared for drugs. There was nothing in her system, prescribed, illegal, or otherwise. No mention of psychological issues, and none of the psych tests confirmed or implied anything. No history of behavioral issues in the past. Nothing that would hint at why she was here. In fact, she had never been in a psych facility before, as far as anyone could tell. That's bizarre, but it's not my department. My job is to wait outside her room until the transport arrives to take the girl away. A 2-hour wait. An hour goes by, then half an hour. Then I watch as the young girl jumps up and quickly walks over to the chair in the corner of the room. She stares back at the bed she was just sitting on. She shoots me a few glances but keeps her eyes mostly fixed on the bed. When the transport finally arrives, the girl gets strapped into a gurney. They're about to take her away when she locks eyes with me again and says, "He moved to the bed and started watching you." That was the last I saw or heard of that particular patient. Like I said, even when you know they're nuts, they can creep you out with the way they say things and the weird things that they do. I still get goosebumps when I think about it.
Be me. Security for a hotel that has been around since 1948. Other guards talk about a ghost named George. Yeah, right, .jpg. 1 week later, it's 3 a.m. The hotel has a ballroom. Every time I walk in the ballroom, the doors slam in my face or hit me from behind. Would notice chairs moving every hour I did my tours. My skin would always feel shocked every time I was in the ballroom. This goes on for 2 weeks. One day I began to talk to George like a bro. Began asking him how his day was or how he is enjoying the weather. Hostile door slamming stops. I left that site. Sorry it is boring, but that is the only /x/ story I have.
Get a security job at an old school that's closed. Pretty small school. Been used for everything from a house to a clinic to a hospital during both wars to a school until it was closed. Totally quiet and pretty affluent place, but the owners don't want anyone to break in and destroy and steal things. Speak with a few guards who worked there, and they said they wouldn't go back because of spoopy shenanigans. During the day, there's only 1 guard, and at night, they have 3. Only need to check the perimeter and keep people away. Don't need to enter the school anymore because of the last guards shitting themselves. Work during a nice summer day. Pass the boiler room and see a piece of wood has been pulled off. It's a tight squeeze, like a 9 or 10-foot gap. Can't replace it in case someone is inside and I lock them in. Get through it. Just end up in the bathroom. Shout hello. No response. Start looking around. Broad daylight and no shutters on the windows, so it's not even dark. Go upstairs. Second from the last classroom door is closed. Check classes and no one in them. Go to a closed door class. No one there. Turn back around and glimpse someone run past the door to the last classroom. I've been tricked. Go to the last room. No one there. Turn around and the class I was in before has the door closed again. Go in. No one there. Start heading to the bathroom. Hear a bang somewhere behind me. Not even going to investigate. Get to bathroom and hear really heavy footsteps running down corridor to bathroom na senpai. Try to squeeze my way through a gap, but in my panic, I get stuck. Hear the bathroom door slam open against the wall. Force my way through and cut myself. Turn back around and look inside. Bathroom door is open, but there's no one there. Just pure silence. Replace wood. Sit in a comfy cabin with the door locked. Following day, I get asked to go into a separate building the teachers used, like a staff room, because the skylight has been broken and someone might have entered. Go in. Nothing out of order. See literally tens of thousands of stacks of paper, strewn all over the floor, on the desk, everywhere in the same room and cupboard the skylight is in. They're all reports from the last few years from security, who detailed what they'd experienced and why they won't be returning. Really tempted to take them because they could be interesting to read properly. Don't drive there because it's not that far from where I live. Decided the following day I should drive to work and put them in my car to take home. Lock things up and tell them they'll need someone out to cover the skylight. Next day, I drove there. Guards are still there from the night shift. Tell me that last night the building caught fire. The one with the papers in, not the main school. Ask them how. Don't know. Structurally unsafe anyway and has to be torn down, so the owners are furious. Get a full arson investigation. Never determine how the fire started. It's not even an interesting story. The only thing I absolutely regret is not taking those reports because the few I read were really interesting from an/x/ perspective.
Be night shift security guard at a museum. Inherently a boring gig. The only real factor that makes the job a challenge of any kind is the size of the place, with 4 above-ground floors and a basement. The acoustics were wacky as well, due to the building itself being pretty old, and actually just being 3 older buildings. One of the few claims to fame for the museum was the Egyptian mummy it has on display, still having its heart and brain. One night, I decided to bother to check out the mummy room. It's relatively out of the way. There's some taxidermied polar bears and other mounted animals in the room too. The theme was all over the place. Decide to tap on the glass to the mummy box for the heck of it. Hear a high-pitched giggle come from somewhere behind me. I try not to fall and stumble and break any of the displays as I make it out into the most open part of the building while turning on every light switch I could find. Absolutely no sign of any kid or anything else after about an hour of searching. I know for a fact that there's a security video of me running around like a spaz in that room, but no one ever brought it up.
Not a security guard, first job at an old prep school in New England as an audio engineer. In the basement of a 1960s library, the whole building looked like the set from an old 60s science fiction building, sort of retro futurism. Summertime, so the place is empty. Work in the basement, huge underground auditorium with stadium seating, plastic swivel chairs attached to long curving tables down to the lecture podium at bottom, rear projection movie screen behind it. Chairs squeaked loudly when moved on hinges. Whole system was automated with old control buttons and switches and no computers. I was in an AV room in the top corner of the auditorium, called Baaah Auditorium, set in the wall like a security room. One wall all glass. One door had a view of the entire auditorium. Second interior room studio behind another glass wall, only door to outer office. In first room had turntable and big monitor speakers, would play Baaah records while I worked. Interior studio had cassette tape copying machines. I would speed copy language tapes 10 at a time and maintain the machines. Easy job. Got to sit around and listen to music. 1980s, so no internet. Lights on in the studio, dark in the auditorium. Hear squeaking sound and thumping. Sound of someone flipping a chair out and it hitting the table in the auditorium. Pitch black in the auditorium. Light switches on the other side. I'm locked in an empty library basement, so I lock the studio door and shut off the music. Squeak, thump. Peer out the glass, can't see anything. Someone's messing with me. Movie screen lights up. An automated projector turns on behind the screen, just a square of light. See one of the stadium seats pull back on the attached swing arm, turn and squeak loudly, then thump back into place. Seat next to it does the same, like someone is walking along hitting each seat with their hand. Nobody is there. Each seat along the row gets hit, spins, lets out a squeak and thumps back. All the way to the bottom of the auditorium, each chair gets spun. Power goes out, the movie screen goes dark. Lights and machines stop in my studio. I lock the studio door in the dark and back into the recording studio and close that door too. Trying to see out, I can only see red exit signs glowing. Hear the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps running up the carpeted steps of the auditorium towards my studio. They stop outside. Remember flashlight, therefore, when repairs need to be made, cleaning tape heads, etc. Grab it and turn it on. Shine it out of the big glass window. Weak light, can't see anyone outside. Bang! Something hits the glass pane. The whole thing booms like a drum. Still nothing there. Just about shit myself. Bang, bang, bang. Glass pane is shaking like it's going to break, then stops. A short while later, I hear the chairs squeaking and hitting the tables again. Wait until the sound reaches the bottom again and unlock the door and run to the exit. Thumping footsteps back up the stairs behind me. Push the bar on the door, it opens. I turn out and I try to push it shut against the pneumatic closer. Too slow. Door clicks closed as something hits it from behind. I manage to get the master key out and get it in the lock and turn it. Doors shaking like someone is throwing their body against it. Shitty locks and doors are pushed out and fall back. Lucky an emergency exit is behind me in a stairwell, and I run outside and lock the door. Run to my car and just jump in and lock it. No more sounds. Nobody around, so I drove home. Found out later that some student had jumped from the top of the atrium in the library to the bottom floor and died. Years later, I saw in the school newsletter they demolished the library and built dorms. Kind of a shame. Besides the ghost, the old library was full of cool liminal spaces.
Be me. Summer 2003. I work for a property maintenance company. Clean out houses after evictions, board them up, keep grass cut until the house is sold by the bank. Get a job for a house in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. Get to the property and do a walk-around inspection of windows and doors. Notice the back door is ajar. Have to go into the house to see if anyone is in there or if the house has been torn up. The first floor and second floor are all good. Gotta go into the basement. Time to get stabbed by hobo.jpg. Have my flashlight on. The basement room is covered in black paint, handprints everywhere. Chair with something tied to it facing the corner. It's a mannequin with all these weird signs and sigils all over it. Nope to my car and leave the area.
Be me working as a guard in a loony bin, walking by a shower. Hear someone inside mumble something. Pound on the giant metal door. Hey man, gotta get out. Had the shower key and had the door open within a few seconds. Nobody inside. I step in to search the shower. Lights are off, so I have nothing but the dim light from outside the shower and my flashlight. Hear someone right next to me mumble, "Nope." Step out, slam the giant steel door. Hear the water turn on inside. Could not have been the door slamming. To turn the shower on, you have to mash a button and hold it for a few seconds. I just walked away. Shit like that was so common, I barely reacted to it. Walking downstairs. The building I'm in houses tons of very bad people. Building is built like a maze of barred doors with large caged-off rooms for inmates to work out or watch TV. The IRL Michael Myers lives in this building as an example of the type of person we kept in there. so no surprise that when I saw a shadow figure roaming one of the cages in rooms from the stairs, I rushed down. Nobody was supposed to be out. I got through the maze of doors and ran to the room where I could look inside. I saw what looked like a humanoid made of TV static. He quickly dissolved from his head to his feet. Nobody saw it but me. But several other people reported the same sort of thing. I mentioned IRL Michael Myers. Name was Tyler, was in prison for murder, multiple people. Went full schizo in prison, sent to my facility. Basically the dumpster for prisons across my state for anyone deemed insane or high risk with major mental issues. Tyler had episodes where he forced prison guards and inmates to fight him together. He, allegedly, took on 8 guards and 12 inmates at one point. They tried killing him but didn't finish the job. Guards had to keep him safe after someone thumped him in the head with a 40mm. Tyler was deemed insane after eating his cellie's face off. Tyler thought he was a vampire or a werewolf depending on the day. He was 6'6", over 300 pounds, and one day he got loose. Stupid trainee let him out of a shower. I came around a corner. Tyler is standing there naked. "Hey, Tyler, on the wall, man. Let's go home." "I'm free." "Tyler, it's Officer Orion. Look at me, man." He won't look at me. Stupid trainee is screaming into the radio that an inmate is loose. We required backup. Tyler hears the radio. "They will have to kill me, but they don't have the silver." "Hey, nobody has to." Tyler bolts down the hall and down the stairs, punches a glass wall of reinforced riot-proof glass, cracks it. His hand is fine. I go down to him. "Tyler, listen to me. The sun's up. You need to get home." "I don't care about the sun. I thought you were a vampire." "I am." "You better get home." He agrees. I gave him his attention. He literally lets himself into his own cell, then looks me dead in the face and says, "I was going to eat you." He then proceeded to howl like a wolf for 5 hours and was angry I tricked him. The pay was $19 an hour, 12-hour shifts, 4 days off a week. Then they screwed all that up and wanted me working 6 days a week, 1 day off, because so many people quit due to being forced to do dangerous stuff but were too stupid to say no. Why I quit. Inmate Waylon was spurging out after I told him he had to cut his recreation time short, due to low staff. It was me, alone, with 64 lunatics, half of them out of their cells. Waylon and I got into it. Never had an issue with him. No idea why he's so angry. Had been cool, doing well for months. Had him in a doorway, both of us arguing. He's making threats, and I'm telling him to chill out or get gassed, then whooped by the 8 other dudes I was about to call, or riot team. My partner comes back to help me get him under control but has to leave right after. Waylon calms down as soon as my partner gets back and separates us. My partner was also massive. Later, Waylon begins apologizing to me. I talk to him. We agree to let things slide. But I find it weird. He said one thing I didn't understand. "I don't know why I'd do something bad to you. You was always cool with me. I'm sorry. We just had an argument." We had arguments in the past. This was nothing new. He was good for a while, but he and I had gotten into it many times when I was new. Fast forward to next week. Waylon attempts to kill my friend. Administration told my friend he had to let Waylon out and not handcuff him. Waylon produced a shank and slashed at my buddy's throat. He had been planning this for months, to kill a guard so he would be sent back to regular prison. He was going to do that to me. And let me clarify, I did not consider arguments problems. Literally everyone argued. Waylon was fuming. He was turning red and was threatening to do something. I think the fact that I stayed calm and he already had respect for me is what saved me from at least getting cut up.
Not a guard, but was doing security duties. Pick his layout of place. Working in a wacky warehouse-style place. Literally just a breeze-block cuboid with soft play areas. Shit job and paid pittance, but it was my first job. Last person on shift does security for the building. Ensure the place is empty, cash up, etc. Last job is to turn off lights, set alarms, and lock doors. Have to navigate in the dark around the front desk once the lights are off. Doors are glass so you can see inside the play area. Walk into the owner's pub next door with a cash float. Anon, you didn't turn off the lights. Look at the security camera. Every light is on full blast. I turned them all off. No way I could have not noticed due to the desk and doors. Have to unlock the building and go back inside to turn them off, expecting it to be some kind of trap. Turn off lights and sprint out the building. Don't dare to look inside as I lock up. The pub next door was allegedly haunted and several staff had reported seeing things. I'd seen a ghostly leg and witnessed some poltergeist phenomenon, so maybe the lights was the ghost messing with me.
I've had a few weird occurrences happen to me over the years. Here's my weirdest one, though, be me, security guard for a pharma company. Located just outside a small town. Shift runs from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m., at which point the day shift turns up. This one particular night I sat down at my post, which is basically a small cupboard on the north side of the complex where the entrance foyer is, as well as conference rooms. The east side is used for offices and the west side is used for storage and shipping. South side is where the labs are. I didn't have a key to enter the labs, and if I saw anything there, I was supposed to call the police. Pick related for layout. One night at about 2 a.m., I've just done a sweep of the north side while a colleague of mine finishes his sweep of the east side. I radio in to confirm that I'm back. He does the same. A few seconds later, I hear a loud bang down the hall, like the sound of someone slamming a big metal door. Shit myself, but head out to investigate, walk around the corridor, and head into the central atrium. The double door to the south side is wide open, nope.jpg. Not supposed to enter the south side, but do anyway. The first thing I noticed is a long white corridor that has multiple doors partitioning it. Every single door is wide open. Double nope.jpg. Run back to my office. Get back, realize I left my radio behind in the commotion. Other dude has been trying to radio me for 10 minutes, immediately tells me to meet him outside in front of the entrance as he's called the police get outside, ask him what he thinks that bang was. What bang? I heard screaming. Ask him what he's going on about. You didn't hear the loud screaming? Triple nope.jpg. Police do a clean sweep of the building and find nothing. Get back to my post, decide to check CCTV cameras. Completely blank except for one frame showing a blurry white figure running down the corridor in the south side I was in. To this day, I have no idea what happened.
Hello/X/I worked security for several companies in the San Diego area for the last 6 years. Here are some highlights of things I experienced or discovered during that time. Multiple fallout shelters in old buildings, complex underground tunnels under downtown San Diego, weird altars in mansions, heavily militarized transportation of what I can only describe as pillars at 3 a.m., sketchy biotech companies where all employees use fake names, even more fallout shelters in recently built facilities, strange cargo planes coming from Mexico and landing on some landing strip by the border, hangars with Cessnas outfitted with super advanced cameras, abandoned warehouse that had signs of human trafficking. This is Spook City, USA.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentexts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check the Odyssey and Rumble pages for separate archives of previous broadcasts.